Thank you to Race and Equality for inviting me to give this message on the occasion of Pride 2024. My name is Graeme Reid, and I'm the UN Independent Expert on Protection Against Violence and Discrimination based on Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity. I'm going to take a few moments to reflect on some developments in the Latin American and Caribbean region, which have been marked by significant progress alongside persistent challenges. The region has seen advances in legal protections for LGBT people, including the decriminalization of same-sex conduct, recognition of same-sex unions, including the legalization of same-sex marriage in several countries, increased visibility and representation of LGBT individuals in public and political spheres. However, this is not uniform progress, and the region faces a dichotomy whereby some countries have made substantial strides in advancing LGBT rights, while others appear to have stagnated or even show signs of regression. This backsliding poses obstacles to the full development and fulfillment of human rights based on sexual orientation and gender identity. In some countries, conservative politicians and religious groups have intensified their opposition to LGBT rights, leading to increased levels of discrimination, violence, and targeted attacks against LGBT activists and human rights defenders. It's worth at this point to reflect on some of the achievements that have been made over the years in the region. Bolivia, Cuba, Ecuador, and Mexico constitutionally protect against discrimination based on sexual orientation, and many countries have enacted anti-discrimination laws related to sexual orientation and gender identity. In recent years, several Caribbean countries have made progress in decriminalizing same-sex conduct, including Belize, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Barbados, and St. Kitts and Nevis, while we await the outcome of the appeal in Trinidad and Tobago. Several countries have legalized same-sex marriage, including Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Colombia, Ecuador, Costa Rica, and Cuba. On the downside, the Caribbean still lags behind, with several countries criminalizing same-sex relations between consenting parties, and transgender people continue to face high levels of violence and at the same time often lack legal protection. Despite legal advances, LGBT individuals in Latin America and in the Caribbean continue to face high levels of discrimination, violence, and abuse. It's important to emphasize the role of international cooperation and support, including from UN bodies and regional human rights mechanisms. I'm thinking here in particular of the Inter-American Court opinion on same-sex marriage and legal gender recognition that proved to be such a milestone not only in the region but beyond. Countries in the Latin American region have been so important in advancing the rights of LGBT people through the UN system and in protecting those rights. These are supportive states, but all these states draw their inspiration, commitment, and responsibility from the tireless work of activists and human rights defenders. I was privileged to attend a regional convening in the Caribbean earlier this year, facilitated by Race and Equality, where I had the opportunity of learning firsthand about the carefully, locally driven strategic litigation strategy in the Eastern Caribbean and the success of that strategy. Pride is a time to celebrate. We need to continue to build on the solid foundation that has been laid. It's an inspiration to see people working collaboratively across issues and regions towards a world in which equal rights and protections apply to all individuals, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity. Thank you, and happy Pride.